Okay, welcome everybody. It is July 21st, 2022, and this is the Cluster API provider for Azure Office Hours meeting. We have this meeting every 2 weeks on Thursdays. Cluster API and Cluster API provider Azure are both parts of SIG Cluster Lifecycle under the Kubernetes umbrella, and as such, we comply with general standards of conduct. You can read about them. There's a link in the doc, but basically it boils down to everybody be kind to each other and don't try not to interrupt. Try to use the raise hand feature. I think that's about it. Here is where we provide a moment for new members or attendees to say hello. I don't think we have anyone who's new today, so we can skip over that unless somebody has something to volunteer. If you want to add your name to the little attendee list, sorry, what's that?
I just said hello.
Oh. If you want to add your name to the attendee list, that would be nice. Otherwise, let's get going. We don't have much of an agenda today, so probably this will be short, but that also means we could just talk about whatever we're interested in. So first we have a PSA about the release. Do you want to do that, Cecile?
Sure. Do you want to share your screen with the agenda so we can all see it? Thanks.
That would help.
Yeah, so just a quick announcement that since last time we had this office hours, right after we met, we released 1.4.0. So this is a pretty significant release with lots of features, couple of bug fixes, mostly focused around testing, and improving our integrations of testing of Kubernetes on Azure in Pro. So yeah, check it out. Reach out if you have any feedback or questions. And then I guess next release is planned for, so we opened a new milestone. Next release is planned for first week of September, I believe. So we're trying to do this 2-month cadence for now. We'll see if this is sustainable over time. So far, it's working pretty well. But yeah, I'll actually be out that week, but other folks will be around to take care of everything around it. So yeah.
Cool. Any questions or comments about the release? Next up, Dane, do you want to give us an update on configurable network interfaces?
Yeah, I just wanted really quickly, we submitted that PR. It was a pretty big PR, and I wanted to thank everyone because we got some fantastic feedback from lots of people, got a lot of eyes on that, which we really appreciated. And we had a first-time contributor authoring most of that PR. So that was a really, really great opportunity. And there's the current feedback on it is to break it up into 2, which we are going to work on. We got stalled because we got pulled into some other things for a couple of weeks here, but we should be getting back to it, I think, in the next week or 2. And then we're going to split it up as requested and try and address all that feedback.
Killer. Anybody have any comments on that? I think we've all looked at the PR. Go ahead, Cecile.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for opening the PR. Like it's something that I know like several people asked for in one way or another, and I think it's going to unlock several use cases. So I'm excited to get it in. I think most of my comments were around the UX aspect of it. There is some trickiness around the API just because we're adding new fields which are kind of already covered by existing fields. So yeah, just some stuff to deal with around that. But otherwise, like yeah, I think. Let's work together to get it in as soon as possible.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I saw the subnet name in the main spec section, I thought, oh no.
Cool. Anything else to say about that? Looks like we have already run off the end of our agenda, so is it worth doing a milestone review, or that too far out at this point, Cecile?
Actually, I think if we have time, it might be useful to do like a little milestone triage. Just because last time we met, it was before we released 1.4, and so now this is like the first time. So right now we have a 1.5 milestone, which just has basically the stuff that we carried over, and maybe a few additional things. But it might be good to just look at, what are our current aims for 1.5? What are we trying to get in? What's important right now? And try to see if we're missing anything. How does that sound to everyone else?
Sounds good to me. So here's what we currently have on the 1.5 milestone. Oh, there's some more than last time. Sorry, my font's really big, probably for. Flat car support. Did RIA really open this? Oh my, that's kind of old. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they're converging on this. We're very close, I think. Out of tree seems like it's very close as well, right?
So out of tree is currently on pause, I would say, instead of like in terms of defaulting it. We have like the support. We recently switched it to Helm, but I think we're waiting for better integration with cluster API add-ons to be able to install it by default, so that the UX of like creating a cluster isn't broken, or it doesn't regress by integrating it. I don't know if it's worth moving out of the milestone, since I don't think we're planning on getting this done in the next. I would say this is probably a good one for the next milestone, like 1.6. Realistically, what do others think? I don't think we don't have Jonathan or Jack here, but they're both working on the add-on proposal. So they would probably have more to say on this. And we've been pushing it from milestone to milestone for 3 milestones, so it's probably a good sign we're not actively working on it.
I just made a comment, so maybe they can clue us in. Oh, come on. Black's user interface is obscuring my other controls. Okay, make services async. This has been a long road. Tags is still left, right?
So Jonathan is currently working on tags and agent pools, the first one. So after that, the only 2 remaining are VMSS scale sets, which we haven't touched kind of intentionally so far, because it's already doing async, but in slightly different ways. So it's going to be a pretty, like, it's a refactor basically, but it's not going to change any functionality. And there's also a lot of moving pieces around machine pools, so we didn't want to get in the middle of that basically, and it's not super high priority. David, do you have any thoughts on that? I see you nodding.
Other than like guilt and responsibility, maybe I can carve out some time in August to take a look at this, or maybe next week. I think we're going to get I think we'll have a little bit of time to take a look and maybe take a first swipe at it. I don't know, since like what you said, it's already async. So it would be really nice to get the code cleaned up to follow the same patterns as everywhere else. Yeah, let me, I probably have the most context there. It would be a fun thing to get into and refactor it back to the pattern that we use.
What I was kind of concerned about was getting it all refactored and then making the VMSS Flex branch basically completely outdated.
Oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. Let's not do that. Let's wait until that gets pulled in, and then we just do a grand refactor.
Yeah, I think that's probably wiser, except especially since it's not that pressing.
Yeah, totally.
So
I agree.
yeah. Okay, so maybe in that case, we can move this one out of the milestone net and then just keep the individual two that we're actually working on.
Okay, so tags, I guess tags on its own stays in
Yeah.
milestone. All right, good.
I think they're both already in there. For some reason,
Okay.
Agent Pulse doesn't have the issue linked though.
We'll just move this to, we don't have a V. Oh yeah, we do have next. Okay,
Thanks.
async tags we just talked about. Document release, cadence and support policy. Jack signed up for this, but I'm happy to take it on if he's busy when he gets back tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. If you want to take that over, I don't think anyone's actively working on
Okay.
it. So, and I'm happy to help also if you want to pair or review or anything.
Configurable network interfaces we just talked about. Thanks, Dane. This is interesting. I saw that Cecile, you mentioned this, and I was taking a look at it. This should be fixed soon. It doesn't sound that crazy complicated, but I don't know exactly where to dig in yet.
Yeah, I just added it to the milestone this morning, just so we pay attention to it since it's a bug impacting users.
Async agent pools is still, he's got a handle on that for 1.5, I assume. Oh yeah, and this one, Locken had a PR for it, right? And so looks like this is still in progress. And probably can land in 1.5. And then the MSS cluster scaling problem.
Yeah, that one I also added. I think it just fell through the crack. We should actually, I'll ping Jack on it and see when he comes back and see if he's looking at it.
Cool. All right, well, that seems pretty reasonable. And then
David has the hand up.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, David.
Hey, thanks. So Lachlan's PR, looking at it, really it was a pretty lightweight PR. The only thing that we're asking for is to get some conditions in there to, or maybe even just one condition to be able to show what's actually happening. So there's nothing that really gives user feedback about why this thing isn't using the desired state. So the desired state is like, imagine you've requested 10 workers in the pool. And you've also turned on autoscaler for AKS. We don't have control of the number of nodes there anymore. So we just don't try to reconcile the desired state for the number of nodes. And I'm sure Dane has some strong opinions about this one too. And the external scaler, right? So what we want at a minimum is to show users, hey, you have opted into external scaling or platform scaling, and we aren't going to set your desired state here for the number of replicas. We're going to allow the platform to take advantage of it. And I'm not sure this is the best way to do it, but it's definitely a way around some of the pain that they're facing when you get the thrashing between the external scaler and desired state. Dane, what's up?
Yeah, like you mentioned, this is directly related to why we opened that other issue. I've struggled a little bit with how controversial the feature was in cluster API itself, because it seemed like that was a good place to surface some of that feedback, keeping the replicas count up to date and things like that. But that said, like, as I thought through, I think one of the alternate proposed solutions, which seemed somewhat reasonable, might be just to use an annotation or a spec field in the actual infrastructure machine pool resources that tells it to essentially reverse that feedback loop and write to spec.replicas in the machine pool, not much differently than, say, cluster autoscaler with the CAPI provider would do. It's just a proposal, and maybe it's worth actually writing up formally and kind of getting some feedback, but it may be, and along with I love the idea of the condition as well. I think that also makes it even more obvious, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about turning on the AKS, the platform autoscaler, and we really have very little control over how that's reacting. And I think it raises the importance of modeling this appropriately so that folks are pretty clear what's going on. Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, oh, great catch. And I just thought of you, Dane.
It's all good. It'll be nice to, if we can get that that feature to move forward a little bit. It's kind of, I haven't had time to pursue it after some of the, it took a lot of work to try to drive consensus around it and a lot of time, and it was I basically ran out of time at the time. So, but yeah, hopefully we can get to a consensus around some of that, and then once we do, that'll be great, because we continue to run a fork in order to support our use case around that.
All right. Anything else you want to say on that, PR, that topic? Nope. I guess the next thing would be for the milestone. Is there anything that really needs to go in here that we don't have listed? I don't know if we want to go through all the issues, but if anyone thinks of something off the top of their head. Yeah, Cecile.
It might be good to put the PR that Nawaz was working on in there. I think it's a feature, so that I think that is reasonable to. What do you think, Nawaz?
The one in progress.
Yeah,
I think the VNX.
This one here,
DNS settings.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I haven't made good progress on it, but I'll look into it. I'll look into it and update you if we can add this into the release.
Yeah,
Think it's
so
reasonable
go ahead.
before September, or
Yeah, I think so.
should we put it on the milestone, or
Before
you want to do a little more research first?
Before September, I think we can put it in.
I mean, our milestones are fairly soft anyway. If it's not going to make it, we just move it to the next one. But
Okay.
let's
Yeah,
go
the
ahead.
milestone is more to give an idea to people of what are the things we're currently working on or hoping to work on. It's not like a strict commitment of like, because this is in the milestone, it's going to be in the release. It's more to give folks who are like kind of following for who don't have the day-to-day information of what's happening right now in CABZ and what's going to be worked on for the next release.
Yeah, cool.
Well, this obviously needs to go in there in the next couple of days. Hopefully, we need to update the current CAPI. I'm gonna be working on this today. Oops, what's that? Anything else, Cecile?
Yeah, I have one I'm working on actually, which I don't know if there's an issue for it, but it's basically the PR that Jack started around Calico using Helm, the work in progress. Yeah, so I took over that one, and I'm gonna open another PR for it at some point soon. So I don't know if there was an issue. I guess there is an issue for it. Oh wait, never mind.
Not that
That
one.
was fixed separately.
What's this one? Remove
Oh, I
cluster
think,
resource.
yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not completely fixing that, but it's part of it. Maybe I'll create a separate issue just for that and put it in there.
Okay. So do we want to put this on a milestone, or you're saying you're going to replace this with a new PR probably?
I'm going to replace it with a new one.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess just an update on that if anyone's interested. So I think I found, so one of the blockers we had, or not blockers, but one of the things we were talking about in this original PR was like, you know, it'd be really great if we don't have to maintain our own Helm chart. And what was brought up at the time was, well, it's kind of difficult to implement the IPv6 dual stack versions of it. But I actually think I found a way to get it to work with the operator. It's very different from how we configure it with the manifest, but it ends up being equivalent. So we actually can get around installing Calico for like IPv4, IPv6, and dual stack with the default like published manifest, the official published manifest, or sorry, official published charts, using just like a slightly different values file. So it ends up being a lot cleaner and a lot less code than having to like put a whole like custom Helm chart with like if else templating in there.
Nice. All right. Anyone think of anything else we ought to put in 1.5 milestone? I mean, this needs to go in order for the, well, I guess I'll put this on the milestone as well. Because apparently this is a requirement for CAPI 1.5 integration. Have to be on newer Go. Oh, sorry, James.
Hey, no worries. Sorry, I'm double duty today with the kids, so I was a little slow. But I think for the Helm and Calico operator and things, for Windows, do we know if they have any sort of support for what they've got out there for the host process, or if we're going to maybe just continue to install that side by side until they progress a little bit further with their implementation?
I don't have the answer to that yet. It's next on my list to find out. I was going to look at Windows and see what happens there. So I'll let you know what I find.
Okay, yeah, their host process support's pretty early, so they may not have anything in there yet, but
yeah, I think either it's already there and we can just use it out of the box for everything, and that's great. If not, we'll just keep the Windows install separate for now, as we're doing now, and wait, monitor until we can switch over.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Any other additions or changes to the milestone? And we could do this at any time, obviously. This is a good time to think about it. I'm reading that as a no. So what else? I guess that's it for what we had on the agenda. Does anybody else have anything random to bring up? I guess not. Let's call it a day. Get a half an hour back. And see you here again in a couple of weeks. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks for running the meeting, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay.
Later.